Sensory rooms were first introduced in the 1970s, but many may not know what a sensory room is or the many benefits a sensory room offers. I'm Laura Wheatholder. I'm a registered nurse and community outreach coordinator for Blessing Health System. Blessing Health System is proud to support the renovation of the Quincy Junior High sensory room, and we're excited to share how this renewed space will help students in the Quincy area. I'm joined today by Dr. Chad Noggle, a behavioral health specialist with Blessing Physician Services. Dr. Noggle, thank you for joining us. Would you please take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. Again, my name is Dr. Chad Noggle. I am a double boarded clinical neuropsychologist with the behavioral health group at Blessing Health Systems.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about sensory rooms. So let's start with some basic information. What is a sensory room?
Sure. It's an important question. I think to understand the importance of a sensory room, we must kind of first understand what are sensory processing issues. So the brain interprets all sensory information. So what we see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. The brain also then produces, oversees, and regulates the responses to those sensory experiences. So sensory integration is the interplay between aspects of sensory input and behavioral response. For the majority of this exchange is second nature. We don't give it much thought. For some individuals, though, including children and adolescents with developmental disabilities, such as autism, the way that their brain processes sensory experiences can be a major source of distress and discomfort. In some cases, the brain may overreact to sensory stimuli or underreact. Visual information can be too overwhelming. Things that they hear can seemingly be too loud. But then they also may not react properly to things like pain and temperature changes. All told, it can vary. So an inability to regulate certain sensory stimuli represents a sensory processing disorder. In many cases, this can cause distress, negative behaviors, acting out, fighting, those types of things. So consequently, the difficulties in these sensory processing issues has far-reaching negative effects in their life. A sensory room is the quintessential therapeutic space that we use as professionals to address these sensory integration issues at their core.
So, a lot of people might kind of maybe have heard the term like sensory overload. So, that's kind of a little bit of what people might be dealing with, or maybe just not at all responding to the sensory input, as you said. So, a little bit maybe overreacting or underreacting. And the sensory room is kind of a safe place for them to maybe experience something, these sensations in a maybe more safe and monitored environment.
Correct. It can be used in a multitude of ways. One would be creating that safe environment where they can address these sensory integration or sensory processing difficulties. In other instances, individuals can also find that a sensory input can have a calming effect. And so sensory rooms can be dualistic in their purpose depending on the need of the individual.
Perfect. And what features might somebody see in a sensory room if you could kind of maybe paint that picture for us?
Sure. First and foremost, the core element or the core feature of a sensory room is that it's intended to be a safe, structured space in which individuals with sensory processing difficulties or other behavioral difficulties can experience personalized physical and mental stimulation by way of a variety of sensory inputs. So this can range from special lighting, pictures, and other visual stimuli to even things like music, sound machines for auditory stimulation. Various objects of different textures can be then utilized for tactile stimulation, and you can even incorporate things for olfactory stimulation, so how things smell. So the elements that are incorporated to a sensory room can be far-reaching, and it is intended to give the opportunity to tap into and stimulate all of those main senses.
And you've touched on this a little bit throughout our discussion already, but what are the benefits of a sensory room, of having something like this available for children in Quincy Junior High or maybe in other areas?
Sure. The benefits of a sensory room are widespread. Children and adolescents with these sensory processing difficulties often struggle to cope with the world around them or the environment that they're in. While a sensory room can provide a place for individuals to go when a meltdown occurs, offering a calm space where they can regain control of their emotions, a sensory room can also provide a low stress, fun environment for individuals to work through their emotions and reactions to certain stimuli. While we cannot necessarily take away their brain's sensitivity to certain stimuli, through work within the structure of a sensory room, these kids can train their brain to overcome its sensitivity and develop coping mechanisms that will serve them well in the world and beyond the safe sensory space of the room. So the benefits of sensory rooms include them being calming spaces while offering opportunity for sensory stimulation. They can, research has shown that there can be improvement in socialization skills as a result of the work done in sensory rooms, as well as just increased focus and concentration within the classroom. Finally, through the activities and techniques employed within the sensory room, you can see improvements in sensory functioning, motor functioning, and cognitive functioning, as well as development across all those broad areas as well.
Wow, it really sounds like these can have a huge impact on people. And now, knowing the benefits of a sensory room, some might consider incorporating like a sensory room or a sensory space into their own home. Do you have any suggestions or reminders that you can offer if someone is thinking about maybe trying to do a sensory room or sensory space?
Uh, Most definitely. First, let me say I love the idea of creating sensory rooms at home. I think it's something that is probably not discussed as much as it should be. You know, the reality is for all of us, including children and adolescents with sensory processing issues, developmental disabilities, and beyond, home is, in most instances, is already known or established as a safe space. Children and adolescents will likely feel the most relaxed at home, and so their tolerability for pushing past current thresholds of, say, sensory issues is likely to be at a maximal point if that is the goal for the sensory room. If we want to create a space where they can regain emotional control, again, this works great at home because having them already more relaxed in this environment will help them better develop coping strategies that can be applied into other settings. And it translates well into other environments. They have emotional upheaval at home because of something going on. Learning the skill of taking themselves out of that situation that's overwhelming to them and going into their safe space and seeking out those coping mechanisms to help with self-soothing is a translatable skill that can then be applied into other environments that are maybe more threatening. So it's always better to do and establish these skills at home first and then transfer them into other types of settings. So setting up a sensory room at home provides a space within what they know to be a safe environment in which they can explore their senses and continue to develop those coping skills. A key factor is for this to be a dedicated space. It's not used for homework or other purposes. You want it to be identified as solely for the purpose of what we're wanting to use it for, which is where the kids are able to explore and engage with little instruction and very little interruption. Individuals who are wanting to do this need to realize that everyone is different. There's not going to be a one size fits all or a cookie cutter approach that applies to sensory rooms or sensory spaces. And as a result, everybody's going to require different setup in their sensory space, depending on the challenges and sensitivities that we're trying to address or that they're dealing with on an everyday basis. Some will need stimulation, while others will require more toned down and calming input. It is going to vary based off of the need and presentation, as well as other factors such as just age and maturity level. Some may need to work on noise sensitivity, while others may need to work on sensitivity to texture or tactile input. It all depends, again, on need. One thing that is, though, important is to decide at the outset, before you go down this pathway of setting up this space, what is going to be the purpose of the room within the home setting. Okay. Some of the spaces are used as designated areas where the loved one can go when they are emotionally spent or overly stimulated. Others use it to develop sensory skills and coping mechanisms to avoid those avoid those meltdowns that occur from overstimulation. The beauty of this is that it does not have to be a whole room. That's a misnomer. It just needs to be a dedicated space that serves this purpose and is established and agreed upon with your loved one for whom it's to serve. There are a number of recommendations and resources online that can help in guiding one in setting up their own sensory room or space, from decor and items and technologies to incorporate, to even guides in terms of finding the ideal place in your home that you're wanting to use this dedicated space for. So I strongly encourage anyone who is interested in these types of things to look up those resources online.
Well, great. Thank you so much. That was really good information for anybody who is looking to learn more about sensory rooms or sensory spaces and maybe considering establishing one. Is there anything that you'd like to add to the conversation today about sensory rooms or sensory spaces? Anything that we haven't discussed?
Sure. The only thing I would add in terms of bringing the discussion full circle, if you will, is that specifically creating a sensory room within the school setting is not just a great idea on the surface or not just kind of a cool idea. It is truly rooted in science. This has been extensively researched, it's evidence based, empirically validated. Sensory spaces in schools have been shown through research to significantly decrease negative or problematic behaviors and to improve student engagement for those who utilize the space. In fact, the benefits of sensory rooms have been so positive that studies are looking at populations or application in groups and populations outside of developmental disabilities and sensory processing disorders. Obviously, autism has easily been the group that has been most discussed, this space being used for, but we are seeing positive benefits for groups including ADHD, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, tic disorders, and even anxiety and depression. And that's just to name a few. This is in addition to the benefit of having the capacity to offer various therapeutic services actually within the school setting, as opposed to having to seek those services out in the public. Again, the school in that regard is going to be seen as a safer, more comfortable space for the children who are going to utilize these services, as opposed to going to an outpatient clinic. So the benefits there are also, be, something that is, I think, underestimated in terms of being able to offer those therapeutic services under the school roof. So
Great.
truly, we could speak for hours on the ranging benefits of sensory rooms. So for Blessing Health System and Quincy Public Schools to work in coordination, it's a tremendous benefit to the community and to the youth overall.
I agree. And, I think you're right. It just sounds like this is going to be a great project. I'm very excited to see the end result. And we will be unveiling the renovated Quincy Junior High sensory room in the coming weeks. So you'll want to continue to follow us on social media for that exciting update. Dr. Noggle, thank you so much for taking time to explain how sensory rooms support the health and well being of our students throughout our community. And thank you for joining us.
Sure.